Hard science fiction is a category of science fiction characterized by an emphasis on scientific accuracy or technical detail or both. The term was first used in print in 1957 by P.Schuyler Miller in a review of John W.Campbell, Jr.'s Islands of Space in Astounding Science Fiction. The complementary term soft science fiction, formed by analogy to hard science fiction, first appeared in the late 1970s. The term is formed by analogy to the popular distinction between the hard and soft sciences. Science fiction critic Gary Westfall argues that neither term is part of a rigorous taxonomy, instead they are approximate ways of characterizing stories that reviewers and commentators have found useful. Stories revolving around scientific and technical consistency were written as early as the 1870s with the publication of Jules Verne's 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea in 1870 and Around the World in 80 Days in 1873. Among other stories, the attention to detail in Verne's work became an inspiration for many future scientists and explorers. Although Verne himself denied writing as a scientist to seriously predicting machines and technology of the future, today, the term soft science fiction is also often used to refer to science fiction stories which lack any scientific focus or rigorous adherence to known science. The categorization hard science fiction represents a position on a broad continuum, ranging from softer to harder scientific rigor. The heart of the hard SF designation is the relationship of the science content and attitude to the rest of the narrative, and the hardness or rigor of the science itself. One requirement for hard SF is procedural or intentional. A story should try to be accurate, logical, credible and rigorous in its use of current scientific and technical knowledge about which technology, phenomena, scenarios and situations that are practically and/or theoretically possible. For example, the development of concrete proposals for spaceships, space stations, space missions, and a U.S. space program in the 1950s and 1960s influenced a widespread proliferation of hard space stories. Later discoveries do not necessarily invalidate the label of hard SF, as evidenced by P.Schuyler Miller, who called Arthur C. Clarke's 1961 novel A Fall of Moon Dust hard SF, and the designation remains valid even though a crucial plot element, the existence of deep pockets of moon dust in lunar craters, is now known to be incorrect. There is a degree of flexibility in how far from real science a story can stray before it leaves the realm of hard SF. Some authors scrupulously avoid such technology as faster-than-light travel, while others accept such notions but focus on realistically depicting the worlds that such a technology might make possible. In this view, a story's scientific hardness is less a matter of the absolute accuracy of the science content than of the rigor and consistency with which the various ideas and possibilities are worked out. Readers of hard SF often try to find inaccuracies in stories, a process which Gary Westfall says writers call the game. For example, a group at MIT concluded that the planet Mesclun in Hal Clement's 1953 novel Mission of Gravity would have had a sharp edge at the equator, and a Florida high school class calculated that in Larry Niven's 1970 novel Ringworld the topsoil would have slid into the seas in a few thousand years. The same book famously featured a devastating inaccuracy. The eponymous Ringworld is not a stable orbit and would crash into the Sun without active stabilization. Niven fixed these errors in his sequel The Ringworld Engineers, and noted them in the foreword. Films set in outer space which aspire to the hard SF label try to minimize the artistic liberties taken for the sake of practicality of effect. Factors include how the film accounts for weightlessness in space, how the film depicts sound despite the vacuum of space, whether telecommunications are instant or limited by the speed of light. See also outer space in soft science fiction films. Representative works, arranged chronologically by publication year. Short stories: Hal Clement, Uncommon Sense; James Blish, Surface Tension; Tom Godwin, The Cold Equations; Isaac Asimov, Evidence; Poul Anderson, Curie; Frederick Pohl, Day Million; Larry Niven, Inconstant Moon and the Whole Man; Greg Bay, Tangents; Jeffrey Landis, A Walk in the Sun; Werner Vinge, Fast Times at Fairmont High; novels: Robert A. Heinlein, The Rolling Stones; Hal Clement, Mission of Gravity; John Wyndham, The Outward Urge; Stanislaw Lem, Solaris; Arthur C. Clarke, A Fall of Moondust; Rendezvous with Rama; Michael Crichton, The Andromeda Strain; Poul Anderson, Tau Zero; Joe Haldeman, The Forever War; James P. Hogan, The Two Faces of Tomorrow; Robert L. Forward, Dragon's Egg; Charles Sheffield, Between the Strokes of Night; Michael Crichton, Jurassic Park; Robert Silverberg, Murasaki; Kim Stanley Robinson, The Mars Trilogy; Green Mars, Blue Mars; Ben Bova, Grand Tour Series; Nancy Kress, Beggars in Spain; Catherine Asaro, Primary Inversion; Linda Nagata, The Nanotech Succession; Stephen Baxter, Ring; Greg Egan, Schild's Ladder; Alistair Reynolds, Pushing Ice; Paul J. Macaulay, The Quiet War; Andy Weir, The Martian; Neil Stephenson, Seven Eves; Sixon Liu, The Three-Body Problem; Films 2001, A Space Odyssey; Marooned, The Andromeda Strain; Silent Running; Solaris; Dark Star; Stalker; Blade Runner 2010, The Year We Make Contact, sequel to 2001, Contact; Gattaca; Primer; Sunshine; The Man from Earth; Moon; Robot and Frank; Gravity; Her; Europa Report; Ex Machina; The Martian; Anime, Manga; Yukinobu Hoshino, 2001 Nights; They Were 11; Royal Space Force; The Wings of Honnêamise; Patlabor 2, The Movie; Makoto Yukimura, Planet Is; Flag; Pale Cocoon; Denno Coil; Moonlight Mile; Eden of the East; Visual Novels; Policenauts; You Know; Comics Robot; Tim of Comics; Ringworld; The Graphic Novel, Part 1 and AMP, Part 2; Russians on the Moon.